Tony, tell me about your wife.
My wife was, she was a character. Um, to me, she was the most beautiful woman in the world. I treated her as such. I really loved her. We spent 7 years together. Um, we were both homeless on the streets, and she was just somebody I wanted to meet and be with. Well, we ended up eventually getting into Renaissance. Now, in the earlier, I had mentioned about Renaissance with the drugs. There is every type of drug possible known to man you can get in Renaissance. And there's more drugs in that building than there are on the streets of San Jose, without a doubt. You can get drugs any time of the day. Most people stay at Renaissance because who the hell would leave? You got drugs right there in the building. You don't have to go nowhere. You just got to be able to walk, take an elevator, and go visit your guy at the whatever floor and whatever room. My wife, the day she died was November of 2024. We celebrated 7 years together on November 3rd. On November 13th, she was dead. My wife had just come home from Menlo Park. She was a heroin addict. And for the methadone clinic. At 9 a.m. in the morning, she got home, gave her a kiss, we talked. By 9:30 that morning, she was dead. I didn't know about her death until 1:30 in the afternoon. Not one person in that building came to me to say, hey, your wife's in trouble. Not one person came to me and said, hey, can you tell? No one. No one rendered aid to her.
Was she in a different room?
He was in a room where there was 3 previous deaths. Had they investigated, maybe my wife would still be alive. But they never investigated. The Fab Five that you talk about, that incident happened in that same very room.
Why were you two in separate rooms?
My wife liked to go and talk with people. My wife is addicted. Let's just face it. And she get whatever she needs. Again, I told you that that building had every fucking type of drug you need. Did you need money? Yeah, you need money to buy, but your credit was just as good. And she had an income, so she had a credit line. The day that she died, according to the officers that were there and reports, now I didn't find out until 1:30 in the afternoon. The autopsy report revealed she died at 9:30 a.m. That's how I know the time to be exact. The cops told me that she had exited a room where she would like to do coke because it helped take off the edge. So she left that room disorientated, dazed, out of sorts, staggering down the hallways. She left from the 4th floor to the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor, she got in that room, and supposedly she was injected by heroin. My wife was so messed up. According to people's reports, when I talked to them, some spoke to me and said that she had a full shot, supposedly of coke, but it wasn't. It was fentanyl. My wife was dead before she hit the damn floor. They told me she was locked away in the bathroom. There's no way in hell that my wife made it from the bathroom to the foyer of where the door opens into the room. She was there laying on the floor, visible for everybody to see except me because I didn't know.
In the foyer?
The foyer, where the door opens in the little hallway there.
Yes.
Um, there was another female there. They rendered aid to her, but they didn't give nothing to my wife. It's not very hard to get somebody to come back from fentanyl if you know what to do and how to do it. Had a Renaissance and a Bow done their freaking job instead of making people aware of fentanyl, they maybe would have had a service to show people how to revive somebody from fentanyl use.
Narcan?
Besides Narcan, there's other ways. Narcan only works if the person's breathing. If the person ain't breathing, Narcan's worthless. You got to get the people to breathe first. But they should have shown people how to do it.
They should have gave lessons and made it more aware, but they didn't do that. Every death in that building was done by drugs. And foul play.
So in that room alone, there was 4 people who had
There's
passed.
7 people.
7 people.
Three people originally died in that room. No investigation. My wife being 4th. That guy still lives in that room today.
Which guy?
The guy that resides in that room, I can't mention his name.
He provides all the drugs that are needed.
Or he knows somebody
Wanted.
that does. But I can't give the name. I'm sorry. Renaissance, when my wife passed, I went down to the office to inform them that my wife was passed. Sandra sat down behind the desk. And she's a very nice person, Sandra. She looks at me and says, "You have 3 days to get out."
3 days.
3 days to get out.
And 3 days was how long? When did that conversation happen? How long after your wife's death?
That was on a Monday morning. She died on Saturday.
3 days later.
Yeah.
What was the reason they gave you for
She
your
didn't give
eviction?
me a reason. She feels that I wasn't on the lease at that point in time. Well, I was on a lease. She also accused me that the marriage certificate or marriage license has been valid because it was a fake. They said my wife wasn't alive. That was a lie. I went and my wife always kept the marriage certificate on her because she didn't want me to have it in case I might have ripped it up or something. She said, "You ain't getting it away from me."
You mentioned the other day about retaliation. Tell us more about that.
Retaliation, yes. When my wife passed, I was threatened to break news about the drugs in the building. I knew the people who had them. I knew the people that were doing it, and I knew the people that were killing people with it because they were so messed up. Doing coke and fentanyl are 2 drugs that look very similar. They're the same color, almost the same consistency. And if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you mix one for the other very easily. And when the person gets to their place, they do it thinking it's this, and it's not, and they kills them. That's again, if Renaissance did more in-depth teaching or more programs in both too, maybe we would have been able to distinguish the 2, or at least have an idea.
Perhaps they simply just didn't let the drugs come through the front door.
Yeah,
that would
be even better.
Sounds like any situation that any type of crime is able to come through that front door and happen.
There have been multiple deaths in that building. The first 3 years, there was something like 37 deaths in 3 years of open. Today, I think it's about 80, or maybe 60.
60 what?
60 about a realistic.
60 over what period of time?
5.5 years, something like that.
How many were considered murder?
Anybody, according to the law, here in California, the law, and they're trying to do it at every state, is that anybody that is in a room partying, serving drugs, or using themselves with somebody, and if somebody dies, that's murder. And when you don't render aid. So that's pretty much everybody.
Does the staff that works for Renaissance, John Stewart or Abode, were they aware of what's going on?
You know, when my wife died, I went to them and I said, "You know what? That morning or that afternoon at 2:30 in the afternoon," and I knew the time very well, I heard one guy said, "That bitch got what she deserved. I killed her."
That guy was who? Employee?
No, a resident.
Resident, okay.
And that rings through my head every single day. I hear that thing, those words. Renaissance knew. Renaissance has what they call a report you have to do when something happens. So you write out this report, the date, the time, and the incident. What happened? And you submit it into put it in a mailbox, and the property management company gets it, and then they rule on it. All right?
They rule on it.
They rule on it.
Not the police?
Not the police. Nothing. I wrote in that report exactly what transpired. I gave the resident name, and then I said I want to see this tape to see the 6 individuals that were in the room the day my wife died, because I'm pulling them up on it as well. She says, no, we can't do that. There's no, we've already ruled.
And 3 days later, you were evicted.
I wasn't evicted. Eviction came down toward after almost the end of the 2025.
Okay, I misunderstood that.
But I was never received any paperwork through the mail. See, Renaissance is funny. If they want you to know something important, they don't put it through the mail. They go into their desk, pull out a drawer, look up your mailbox number, pull out a key that's not supposed to be in their possession. It's supposed to be the U.S. Postal Service and the resident that has the box. But they have keys for every mailbox in that building. All right? They pull out the envelope and put in their pull out mail that they don't want for you to see. They also insert mail into the box. Well, how do we know that? Because there's a little squiggly line that the U.S. Postal Service puts on the mail as it goes through the meter.
Do they intercept your mail?
The intercept mail. I haven't received mail in Renaissance for quite a while when I lived there because I lost my mailbox key. I would have to go to the office, ask them for the key, and they would go and give me the key. Now, according to the postal regulations, is that you're supposed to go to the post office, and they'll give you another key for that mailbox. Or the postmaster or postman, let him know, and he'll make the arrangements. Not at a Renaissance place. You can get the key anytime you want.